Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Heather Lewis, and in today's video it's going to be a quick and easy flip. It's going to be for someone who's either just starting out the furniture flipping world or someone who just wants to get a quick flip done and out of the way. All this makeover is going to require is some Beyond paint, a roller, and a chip brush. So if that is something that you are interested in watching, all you have to do is watch until the end of the video. Alright, hello everyone. So this is today's piece that we have. I actually got this from the neighbors who were getting ready to sell their house, so they had it out on the curb. So of course, it's a curb find and I got it for free. Those are always the best. It's in pretty good condition. I mean, there are a lot of scratches. She did say that she had it since she was a child, so I love the history behind it. Although the drawers had a lot of scratches on it, the top was pretty much in mint condition, so I was really happy about that. Of course, with every project, the first thing to do in prep work is take off the hardware. I quickly realized that this hardware was really hard to get off. I tried quite a few techniques that I had knew to get it off, but nothing in the end worked, so I called Avery in. I needed his muscles to get all of this hardware off for me. You can see everything I'm doing is just not working. So it wasn't necessarily the hardware that was hard to take off, but instead it was the nails the screws, I guess, holding the hardware in. So what we soon realized is that after we took the hardware pieces off, the nails needed pressure to actually come out with the drill. So we ended up grabbing an extra nail that we had laying around and using that on the other side to put pressure to get that nail out, if that makes sense, because the nails just needed something to wiggle it out instead of how usually hardware works, it just comes straight out. He was able to get all the hardware out, so I got it into a plastic bag and I set it aside somewhere where I wouldn't lose it and it was away from all the other hardware. Then I started taking out the drawers and getting ready to clean. If you've watched my videos before, I'm sure you can assume what I'm using for a cleaner. And if you're new here, I like to use Dawn dish soap. It helps cut the grease and the grime, and most people already have it in their homes, so it's the easiest to use anyways. This piece was really dusty, which makes sense because she said she had it since she was a child, so I was making sure to clean every square inch. You can even see in the wood just how much of a difference it makes by cleaning the piece off. I'm definitely not forgetting to do the inside of the piece because this is where it was the most dusty. I don't think it has ever been cleaned before, and you can just see how much dust is on my rag. It's disgusting. But that's what happens when you decide to pick a field in, refinishing furniture. It comes with the territory. Just for reference, you can see how dirty this water is. I decided to clean it out before I cleaned the drawers because I just didn't want to be putting that dirt and mess into the drawers. Just like the dresser, we're cleaning off every square inch. You can see all the dust where the hardware laid, and that's why we take the hardware off first instead of cleaning first. I'm not sure where this footage went, but you do want to make sure to actually rinse the piece off with just water as well, because when it comes to painting, you don't want to have that soap residue left on afterwards. After cleaning was all finished up, I started by taping off the top of the dresser. I decided since it was in such good condition, I would be preserving it and keeping it from getting painted, and that way the tops will be dark and paint will be on the body of the dresser. Avery came in to help me do this so that I would make sure I had my lines straight so I wouldn't miss anything when it came to actually painting. For paint, I'm using Beyond Paint yet again. I love how easy it is to apply this stuff, and it's super beneficial as the winter is coming and it's gonna get harder and harder for me to get outside and sand the pieces. That is what I love so much about Beyond Paint, is that there is no stripping, sanding, or priming. We are using the color Sage again because it is such a trendy color right now, and it's great for sales to follow the trends. You can use this paint on so many surfaces, which is another thing that I really love about the paint. You can look on the backside of your can to see how many different things this paint can actually go on. Beyond Paint recommends that you use a roller and a chip brush, so that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. For your chip brush, you're just using a tapping motion, and for rolling, you're just rolling it on like you would anything else. I've noticed that a lot of people are concerned about the texture that the chip brush gives off, and although it is not the smoothest finish you can have, I definitely think it's worth a little bit of texture, because that texture is actually going to help prevent any nicks or scratches created when you actually put the dresser into everyday life, where it's getting bumped and it's not, people are running into it, things are running into it, and that extra texture is just going to help prevent it from scratching off and keeping up the durability of the piece. Now, I am one of those people that love a smooth finish on just about every piece, but really this paint does not bother me. It's not as textured as everyone thinks it is. I think it is textured enough just so that it'll help prevent everyday wear and tear, but from a distance you can't even tell that it's textured, and it looks completely smooth. It's only when you get up close that you can see a little bit of texture. When it came to painting the first coat on the drawer fronts, I originally thought that I was going to be just painting it all, but I decided to do a little bit of a two-tone look and try to preserve some more of the original finish. So for these pieces right here, I decided to keep the middle original. I kept the middle original, and it was the easiest anyway since I was using a roller and it would have been hard to get in there. And with these smaller pieces, you'll see that I eventually taped it off. I wasn't thinking about doing that at first, but because I wanted to be able to get on the sides of the, what do you want to call it, the design pieces there. I decided to tape it off just so that I wouldn't have more cleanup afterwards. I continue to do this on the entirety of the drawer fronts and making sure to get each one as best as I could. After I'd finished the drawer fronts, I made sure to give it a rest and let the first coat dry, and then I went in with 120 grit sandpaper and gave it a light scuff sand just to help remove some of that texture and get ready for the second coat. After that was finished, I started applying the second coat just as I did the first, using my chip brush and the roller when necessary, just making sure to get everything covered and everything good for the second coat. At this point, you're probably realizing that I have not painted any of the legs that are on the dresser, and I'm doing that with purpose because I am going to be taking them off and putting on another custom base. After I finished with the second coat, I did go outside and spray paint the hardware black. I didn't show it just because it's pretty simple. I took the hardware, I cleaned it off, and I just spray painted it black. I used 3 coats, and then I let them dry overnight just so that it would be perfect to put on the next day. After the second coat had dried, I started removing the tape off of the top as well as the drawer fronts that needed it so that I could check everything and make sure I didn't have to do any touch-ups. The top and the drawers were looking really good, so I was super happy that it turned out the way I wanted it to. Finally, it was time to get that hardware back on. You can probably see the black hardware sitting on the top there. That's what we're going to be using to put the hardware on. Thankfully, putting the hardware on wasn't as hard as it was taking it off after we figured out that the screws just needed to be screwed in first and then twist the knobs right on. Now, don't come at me in the comments about my socks. I know they're silly, but I got them at Target in the dollar section just because I knew that not if, but when, because let's be honest, I get paint on my socks, that they were cheap anyways, and I wouldn't care. Anyways, who really cares about the socks, right? We're just waiting for the end to see what it looks like. So let's get this hardware on so we can get to the final reveal. Alright, so I really love how this dresser turned out. I was able to keep the top original as well as some parts on the drawer fronts. I always love being able to keep some parts original if I can, if it allows for it, just to show some more of its characteristics. As you saw, I painted this dresser in sage green from Beyond Paint. If you are interested in trying out this paint for yourself, you can go down in the description box down below and find the link there. Also, you can find the link to just about every other product